It was tough leaving everything.
Do you hold the record for the longest time serving?
The first year on the road, their house burned down.
You're constantly navigating social dynamics. What does road life look like?
Like, yeah, we're gonna take over. You don't know us, and we're 18 to 22. It's gonna be great. Trust us. Like, what am I thinking?
Base camp adventures. The episodes are fun. The characters are fun.
She's like, it's like a light bulb went on.
Were there any defining moments God showed up personally for you?
Where else do I see lives being changed in such a dramatic way?
Welcome to Changed Lives, a special limited series in which I explore the incredible stories of the people behind the scenes at Life Action, a ministry with a mission of reviving relationships through transformative events. Each of these individuals, my coworkers, have experienced God move in big and unexpected ways. The more I heard their stories, the more I thought, people need to hear this. In this series, you'll get a first-hand look at how God is working in and through the people of Life Action, the challenges they face, the faith that sustains them, and the lives being transformed along the way. Their stories are powerful. Today, I'm talking with Matt Fredericks, a longtime member of Life Action's road team, who now pours his heart into children's ministry, including creating content for our very own family audio drama, Base Camp Adventures. In this episode, Matt shares his deep passion for reaching kids with the gospel, what it was like to step off the road after 17 years, and the powerful lesson of surrender that God has taught him throughout. As you listen, consider how God might be shaping your own journey. Life Action moves forward through the obedience and passion of people like Matt, people whose lives reflect a sincere love for Christ and His church. Maybe God is calling you to be part of this mission too. Enjoy the conversation. Tell me a little about who you are, and how would you answer the question if you meet somebody in the grocery store or in an elevator and they say, hey, what do you do? How do you answer that question?
My role specifically is overseeing children's ministry.
Okay.
So we have retreats at camp. We have church events teams that go into churches all over the U.S., and I oversee the children's ministry portion of that. And then we also have other resources for children, and I oversee one of those called Base Camp Adventures.
Oh, we will talk much
Great.
about the Base Camp Adventures.
I would love to talk about it.
Okay. You've been with Live Action for a while, but I want to talk about where are you from? Where did you come from? So let's go all the way back. What was life like growing up?
My parents were born and raised in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And then they settled when they got married in the Bethlehem area.
Okay.
So that's where I was born. And a team, when I was 4 years old, came to my church, and my life was forever changed.
Wow. What happened? What was that like?
At the time, my dad was working a good job at an electrical company and climbing the corporate ladder. And then my family decided to host some team members. And after the event, my parents began praying about joining the ministry. And so shortly after that, my life was drastically changed.
What was the spark of that? Had they been thinking about ministry before, or was this a radical disruption?
Both.
Okay.
They were thinking about ministry opportunities, and I think exploring and praying about that. And then when Life Action came, they began exploring that specifically, like Life Action specifically, to see if God would have them change everything. God confirmed it over a period of time that this was the direction He was giving for my family, for them. And we began the whole support raising process, which we thought would be very quick, because if God was calling us here, obviously He would raise it really quickly. But God's plan was different, and it took about 5 or 6 years.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that typical?
No.
Okay.
Which was a whole faith journey in and of itself.
Sure.
Because they were learning to trust that this is what God was calling them to, even though it didn't seem like He was doing it in the way that they wanted.
Right, because they were probably ready. They were ready to go, and
Once
then
they knew that it was
this extended period of waiting.
right.
Yeah. Was your family pretty involved then in church growing up? Was faith a central part of your family?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard about Jesus and the gospel very early. And my dad was involved at church. He was a deacon and was in deacons meetings all the time. And we were in church Sundays and Wednesdays. And so when Life Action came, it was just one more thing we're doing at church.
So once they raised support over time of 5 to 6 years, then your whole family comes here? And what does that look like?
It was tough leaving everything. God kept using the story of Abraham with my dad and with my parents to show like God called Abraham away from his family to this land that I will show you. And that was, for us, that was the Midwest. And yes, leaving family, friends, church, school, it forced us to get close as a family and forced us to get close to God because that's all we had. We didn't have any relationships here, and other than those that we'd gotten to know in Life Action, but it's not like we spent a ton of time with them.
So you're about 10 years old at that time.
Right.
Your family came on to work at the camp.
Yes. Yeah, my dad's role changed over the years, but he came as the business manager. Camp ministry, you do everything. So he still did electrical at the camp during the summer with family camp.
Okay.
Our family would be out there all summer.
So what are your memories of just helping out and being involved?
It was great.
Yeah.
Being at camp was a great place to grow up every summer. So I took it for granted. Now looking back, I'm very grateful that I had that as my childhood every summer being at a camp.
Acres and acres to roam.
Yes. It was great. And I didn't have the responsibility. Like I just could enjoy being at the camp and do all the fun things. And I didn't. So, and I did serve that we would rent out bikes to all the families that came, and my dad would repair all the bikes and I helped him with that. And we did the fun activities, but it was for the guests, not us. Because as Jimmy would say, camp is for campers. So
that's what I was hoping to draw out, that age-old phrase here. Camp is for campers.
Yeah.
How did you see God working in your family during that time as you're growing up and your parents and you were all serving together out at camp?
That was huge. Yeah. That was huge. I think not only because of the input we were getting, I think if we would have just continued in our pattern, like we would have been the good religious church family, but coming out here, God used that to grow our relationship with Jesus, not just the religion of doing the right things and all the externals. Grew my family's faith in relying on God, getting to know him personally, and then really through the teaching of Life Action, just getting to dive into some basic principles of what it means to live for Jesus and be real and be flawed and forgiven.
Probably helpful to see people living that out too, all the time.
Yes. Yes. Lots of great examples of imperfect people.
Yes. Were there any defining moments from that time in your life, whether it's at the camp or just as part of Life Action, that you can point to as like God showed up personally for you?
For me, the whole process of moving was huge. I look back at that as a turning point in my relationship with God. One of them was just during a Seek Week, which is when we all meet to seek Jesus together. And God just broke me of my own sin, helping me to see it, even as I think I was probably a teenager at that point. But I remember just crying over my sin. And I don't think it was in a I don't know, just a religious way of beating myself up, but just really coming to know the weight of my sin and that it cost Jesus his life. And that was very valuable.
Sure.
I needed that.
Yeah. You talk about how it was a really great place to grow up. And I have no doubt that it is. Even the times that my husband grew up out at the camp, literally on the property. And whenever my kids go out, they love it. But what was hard about it?
It was exhausting sometimes. I remember because we'd be out there all summer and long days. And so we'd come, we actually had a trailer that wasn't roadworthy anymore. So we got to use that during the summer.
Nice.
So that was great. But for 5 days of the week, we'd be out at camp, morning till night. And then weekends would be coming back to the house and doing laundry.
Were you homeschooled or?
Yes.
Okay.
When we moved from Pennsylvania to Indiana, we started homeschooling.
Gotcha. So after you finish with homeschooling, do you have a plan? Do you think that you're going to is Life Action in your future, or what are you thinking you're going to do?
Yeah. Through my teen years, I volunteered at Life Action's headquarters in the IT department.
Okay.
So I had always liked computers, and I would mess up ours and then have to fix them. And so I started working in IT, knew that I liked computers and things like that. And so I thought about traveling on the road with road teams, but my dad very wisely encouraged me to finish school before traveling.
Okay.
And got a degree in computer information systems. And then I started traveling after
Okay.
that because I finished school earlier than a lot of my peers because of homeschooling and just accelerated program with college. So I was able to start traveling when others would still be going to school.
So how old were you when you started traveling?
20.
What team do you start traveling with?
I started traveling on Red.
Okay.
And I was on Red my first year and then changed to Blue. The first year on the road, I think it was our second, maybe first or second church. I can't remember exactly. But the main speaker on our team, their house burned down. They ended up coming off the road, and then there was a bunch of leadership changes all throughout the year.
Like filling in
Yes.
because they were
Yeah.
gone.
Just
Okay.
shifting to make it work with that family being off the road. But I didn't know any different.
What did you sign up to do? What were you that first year on the road team?
Children's minister.
Okay. Did you always want to be in children's ministry? Why is that, do you think?
I like having fun.
Okay.
That's a big part of it. I had been I had gone and was in Awana as a kid, and then helped out in Awana, helped out with kids before that. So I knew that I enjoyed being around kids. In fact, there were opportunities to travel as like a sound tech because of my computer degree. That would make sense.
That's what I would have guessed.
Right. But I knew I didn't want to do that. I knew I didn't want to be stuck behind a soundboard for hours on end all throughout the year.
Yeah.
But children's ministry, that sounded like a lot of fun.
Wow.
God had used children's ministry in my life, and so I had vision for how I could be used then to help kids and encourage kids. And it was just, children's ministry is super fun. So it was a win-win.
That's awesome. Did you fall in love with it that first year? Was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Yes, it was great. It was great. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, God grew my own walk with him. Like, I think leaving the house and being away from my family was really good and forced me to rely on God and get to know him more personally without my family's involvement in it. So
was your sister traveling too?
Yes. Yeah, that first year.
Okay.
We traveled
Same
together.
team?
Same
Okay.
team.
Okay. Did you like that?
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I was glad that I got to travel with her.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then when you switched to Blue Team, were you excited about that?
So my best friend growing up, at least from that 10 years old age through my teen years, was Ben Canfield, which is Steve's son.
Gotcha.
Who's on Blue Team. And Ben was coming out of college to travel.
Okay.
And so we had talked growing up, like how much fun it would be if we could travel together on the road. Not really thinking that would happen. But then he was coming out of college, going to travel. I was on Red Team. And like I said, Red Team was such a crazy year that I didn't really have my roots with Red Team.
Sure.
Like, even though I traveled with Red Team, there were so many changes that I didn't really feel like I was leaving this established family. It was, we were pretty disjointed that year, just trying to survive and figure everything out. So yeah, traveling on Blue Team was definitely something I was looking forward to, not a hard decision.
Yeah. Well, what was it like to live in other people's homes?
At first, very intimidating.
Okay.
Especially my first year. Being in the South was intimidating to me.
Okay, so you spent a lot of time in the South.
I'd never been in the South. And
No.
my first church, this is in my first year, was in Dothan, Alabama, deep South. And I stayed with a family that is deep South and had very thick accents where I couldn't really understand what they were saying because I wasn't used to it. And then they were talking about vegetables and things that I had never heard of. And so new foods, new culture. But one of the things I noticed is that there's a lot of similarities, even though there's cultural differences and geographic differences, a lot of shared values and a lot of kind people in a lot of churches all across the U.S. So it got easier and easier. You still have to figure out each family.
Yeah.
And like, what are the rules that this family has that others don't, or just the quirky little values or details of that family.
You're constantly navigating social dynamics.
Yes.
Always changing. How did that form you during the early times? And how is that paid off? Seems like the wrong word to use, but like, how do you see that in your life?
Yeah, I think not only from host families, but also the team members that I was traveling with, because you're bringing together people from, again, all different cultures and backgrounds and experience and all of those things. But that shaped how I speak, how I interact. And I remember having those times of saying something and thinking this would be the response or reaction to it and getting a totally different response and reaction. I think that's just the differences in people.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you're learning areas, but you're also learning people. It's like you're learning content, but you're also really learning people. Yeah, that's really interesting. So maybe for somebody who's not familiar, like what does road life look like for it's young college-age kids?
right.
What does that look like? How do you describe that?
Road life, 9 months, living in different environments, serving people, becoming a family as a team. One of the big lessons that I learned was just how like ministry is really 24/7. Like that's, as a Christian, you live for Jesus all the time, whether you feel like it or not, in season, out of season. And you learn that on the road because you're just constantly in ministry. You're constantly around people, constantly have opportunities to serve. Around 20 team members, college age, 18 to 22, unless they stick around and don't leave, then they get older. But most are 18 to 20, 18 to 22. It's exciting being in a bunch of different places, and you get to explore places that you've never been before and meet people you never thought you would. And so it's exciting and fun and tiring, exhausting, but really good.
Because you roll into a church and start the setup and meet your host homes, and then that's your home base for however long you're there, right? And so college-age students who are there, they're coming in and doing all the roles, right? So children's ministry and youth ministry and running the sound, and they're the worship band, and
Used to be driving semi-trucks.
Right? Like, so they in a sense, they take over.
Yes.
So that the pastor, the staff, the people who normally run the engine of the church, so that they can be poured into, so that they can experience and just be with their people that week.
Yes, that's the goal.
And when we say take over, it's like we'll come in and offer you respite and renewal, take over, and under your authority.
That's the goal.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, which is hard for a lot of staff members.
Sure.
Like you have some that are like, I've been waiting for this week or two to just be able to be poured into. But then you have others who which is great. They love the ministry that God's given them, and so they want to continue it.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to unplug.
Sure.
Especially in children's ministry, because people who are in children's ministry are used to
right?
serving all the time and doing and doing and doing. And so you come in and you're like, yeah, we're going to take over. You don't know us, and we're 18 to 22. It's going to be great. Trust us. It's a big trust on their part to let go and let us.
So how long do you serve on the road?
Well, most team members serve for about a year. So you sign up for a year. So from, I think it's like July to July that you're signing up for. Because you start training. You come in the end of July, start training, and then hit the road in September. Then you're on the road like like 2 college semesters. So fall semester, spring semester, and then you're off the road in the summer.
But not you. You didn't just stay for 1 year.
No, I thought I would travel 2 years when I first started. Because that was the average for most people.
Okay.
You travel 2 years. The first year, you're just trying to figure everything out. Second year, you can really dive into what you're doing because you're more familiar with it, and you can focus more on ministry than just trying to survive. So I thought I would travel 1 or 2 years. And I did. And then every year, God just kept making it clear to come back. And I thought with my computer degree, I thought I would travel for a few years and then get off the road and use computers somehow, use IT somehow for God's glory, whether that was working with a ministry or working outside of a ministry, just using that gifting for God's glory in some way. And I didn't think children's ministry would be something that I'm doing long term. I just thought it was the means for me to be on the road and serve. But yes, year after year, as it came time around January, February to make that decision, it was like, yeah, why would I not travel? That's how it started. Maybe the 3rd year, I think I was really praying because I thought I would get off the road to do computers, and God made it clear, no, actually, I still have things that I want to grow you in here and use you in here. And then after that, year after year, there were many years where it was just like, oh yeah, obviously I would do this again because I'm able to use the giftings that God's given me here on the road. Where else do I see lives being changed like this in such a dramatic way. And not just dramatic over a short term, but even watching team members and the discipleship that you have there on the road and seeing team members' lives be changed, including my own. So when I would compare that to doing anything else, it was always like this. And that kept me coming back for 17 years.
17 years. Always with the blue team?
After that first year with red, then it was blue after that. Yeah.
Do you hold the record for the longest time serving?
As far as I know. I think before that I was 15.
Okay.
And then I traveled 17.
Okay. That is a really long time. Like we joke about it, but like were there moments where you struggled with that decision?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think because I had my plan in mind of what I thought my life would look like. I thought it would be, travel 1 or 2 years, find a wife, get off the road, get married, have kids, have a job, all those things, like normal job. God kept changing what I thought his plan was for me. And I kept clinging on to some new plan and being like, oh God, this is what God has for me now.
Yeah.
Like, this is how he's going to work it out. Like, yes, he said no to me here, but now he's going to say yes to me here with this plan. And it just kept changing and falling through, and God would redirect. And, but all throughout that process, making it clear that this is where I was supposed to be. And which was such a blessing. Then after 17 years, God flipping that and being like, no, actually it's time for you to come off, and making it very clear it was time to stop traveling.
That's really interesting. I want to get to that. But before we get to that, where do you feel like God met you in those 17 years, or how was your life transformed while you're on the road bringing transformation into other churches?
As I look back at my years on the road, if I were to say one lesson that probably came to the surface the most, was probably surrender. And I mean, you can kind of heard that through the plans and just constantly putting my hands up saying, okay, God, whatever you want me to do, spend my time, what you want my life to look like. Ultimately, I say that I'm a follower of Jesus, but just doing whatever he wants, which was traveling on the road year after year. So yes, there were definitely times where it's like, where I had nothing left. And it was completely relying on God. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. But God just very gently speaking, like, this is where I've called you to, and this is what I want you to do, and I will give you the grace to do it. Yeah. Dying to my will and my plans and all those things.
Obedience is so much easier to say.
Oh yeah, we teach kids. Obedience is doing what you're told to do when you're told to do it with the right heart attitude.
Yes.
Easy to teach that.
Very easy.
And you can do hand motions and everything. But when you think of, when you put that into someone's life of saying, okay, doing what you're told to do means going on the road when it's not comfortable, or, when you're told to do it. I want you on the road as a 30-some-year-old when most of your peers are lower 20s, if that.
What was that like being the older one on the team?
It was mostly good.
Yeah.
I struggled with it as I was probably more mid-20s to 30, because that was when I was separating, and it started to feel different. Like, I started to notice that change between where these team members were in their lives and thinking, and where I was. And so it was very hard at first to just see myself as the old guy, and but then it got more and more comfortable as time went on, and seeing that it actually gave me this really great platform to disciple. Yeah. Like, I could speak into their lives, and even seeing myself through them. Like, wow, here's this person who's traveled for a bunch of years, and I'm new to this, and I don't know what I'm doing, and he could actually help me.
You almost had multiple ministries out there, right? Like, you had the children's ministry, but now you have these younger team members who you can come alongside, like almost in a mentor, big brother type of role.
Yes, and that was one of the great things about being a single team member on the road, was I was living in these homes with team members, and so conversations happen naturally because you're living side by side with people, and and when you have that awkward situation in a host home, you have somebody else that you can relate to and walk through that with them.
Awkward situations, those happen?
Never. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So when you are in children's ministry, do you start to develop like a philosophy of children's ministry? I mean, because that's even for like a teacher out in the real world, 17 years is a long time to teach.
There was a book that I read. It's by a guy named Jack Klumpenhauer. It's
Great
a fun name. Called Show Them Jesus. And it's a pretty simple premise of showing children Jesus through every lesson that you teach. It's very easy to teach kids moralism of just like, change your external behavior, like the obedience thing we talked about. Do what you're told to do when you're told to do it. Easy to stay there. The right heart attitude can only come through Jesus. If they get the relationship with Jesus, then they will get everything else. They'll get the obedience of doing what you're told to do, when you're told to do it. You're getting to the heart instead of just working on the externals.
Yeah.
And so once I read that book, that really was a paradigm shift of, okay, we need to change the way we talk about these subjects. Like, yes, we're talking about obedience, but let's talk about how Jesus allows us to obey, like how he empowers us to obey. Or if we're talking about forgiveness, let's talk about God's forgiveness towards us instead of just saying, go and forgive that person or that bully or sibling that steals your toy. Talk about God forgave you this much. So don't you think whatever it is in comparison is this much, regardless of how horrible it may be. It's compared to what we've done against the God of the universe, the creator of everything. We can forgive through his forgiveness.
Yeah.
So yes, getting to the source and that abundant life comes through Jesus, not just doing all these externals, which is just so much easier. It's so much easier to teach that way towards kids.
Yeah.
Like you can see it on the outside, you can see the results of it. Showing kids Jesus, it could take more time. Like a relationship takes time. So it's going to take time for these kids to know Jesus and love him and follow him.
But more fruitful.
Yes, over the long haul. Yeah. Yes.
Tell me how Base Camp Adventures comes into the big picture.
Base Camp Adventures, it's a children's audio drama. So we took the stories that we teach on the road and created this audio drama, like a podcast or an audiobook with more sound effects and music, and took what we did on the road and then packaged it in a way that families could listen to freely wherever they are. There was a former team member who traveled on the road, was in children's ministry, so he was very familiar with all the stories and lessons and themes that we use on the road. He had grown up listening to a children's audio drama, and so he just thought, could we bring these together?
Yeah,
could we
do that?
Could we create an audio drama like what I experienced as a kid for kids with what we do on the road? So we were friends and we're traveling at the same time. We were in children's ministry together. So we'd gone through training together, goofed off together. He's super creative, like mind-blowingly creative. And so he pulled me into the project. He was back here at headquarters and he's like, I'm thinking about doing this children's audio drama. I know you've done characters on the road and acted and done skits and you've been these characters. Would you like to be a part of it? Yes, obviously.
Of course.
So Base Camp Adventures began. We produced the first one and released it in 2015.
How did you nurture that, or what was the purpose of that, and what is it today?
What started as this fun project of, hey, we could make this happen, became more of a ministry in and of itself. Like, oh wow, the potential of this is really great to minister to kids. Now we want to inspire children to know, love, and follow Jesus, and we do that through the medium of these fun, exciting, creative stories that make some abstract concept a little more concrete because they're seeing it lived out through these characters.
It's the power of story, right? Like being able to understand these concepts by hearing them and the emotion that's behind it. And what season are we in?
Currently, album 7. It's been fun to see it grow over the years, and a lot of word of mouth, a lot of families that they'll listen to it, hear about it through a church event or through family camp, or it's grown online just through, I don't know how.
The algorithm.
Yes, algorithms has pushed that to
pushed it beyond what you probably imagined.
Yes, definitely. So it's been growing since then because God's been growing it.
Yeah.
And just hearing neat stories of God using these episodes to bring kids to some real life change. Hearing stories from parents about even like obedience and it clicking that disobedience has consequences, and how there's one story about Sin the camel and how this camel just keeps inching into the tent until it takes over the tent. And that's a picture of sin in our lives. Like we let it in a little bit and we let it slip. And then eventually we find, sin has taken over our lives. And a mom used that with one of the kids. And like, she's like, it's like a light bulb went on that, oh, what I'm doing, I'm towing the line right now with this sin. And she's like, immediately I don't know if he literally stepped back, but he understood what he was doing and stopped that. And then other stories of kids like coming into a relationship with Jesus for the first time because they hear the gospel through a story in an episode.
Yeah. The episodes are fun. The characters are fun. Yes. Anybody,
which is why I love it,
can listen to it. I mean, it's not like when you think of Base Camp Adventures, I don't want people to think it's this like dry Bible stories. These are fun characters and fun stories that just happen to provide some really biblical lessons for kids in a way that is relatable, that they can actually understand and take to heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we've tried to do on the road too, is like bring these concepts to kids in a way that they can receive, and it's fun. And that's like, love God, love kids, have fun is the motto of children's ministry.
Yeah.
And so that, yes, Base Camp Adventures and the stories in are part of that.
I know that people love it and depend on it because when Spotify was down for one day a couple of months ago, I got so many messages in our social media inbox from everywhere, Australia, Canada, asking when will Base Camp Adventures be back up. So
yes.
the proof is there that there are listeners there, and it's probably really nice to hear that people miss it if it's not there for one day. So just the impact that that's having. So Base Camp Adventures, amazing. Now this past year, you've come off the road after 17 years. So how did God make that decision very clear to you? And then what did that transition look like?
Yeah, God made it very clear through the people that he had brought on to the road. So there was a couple that he brought on that their giftings were a lot of the same giftings that I had. And so I had never really felt like there was a good replacement for me on the road, and didn't want to leave the team like with a hole, because here this guy that's been traveling for almost 2 decades is now leaving. And so with them, I felt very comfortable, like, oh, it's time. Like they can totally pick up where I've left off and continue. So there was that. And then the things that God was doing in children's ministry that I was hearing about, it just seemed like God's blessing this. And I'm not just saying no to the road ministry, but I'm saying yes to the things that God's doing with children's ministry. Yeah. So that I never wanted to leave just like, oh yeah, it's just time. Yeah. Like I really wanted and believe God wanted me to leave because he's leading me off and has something else for me, not just because I've done this long enough. Yeah. And so I left with in a really great place of still loving the road ministry, and I would love to continue, but God had something else for me. But I did have a crisis after making the decision. Like in March, I had a crisis of faith moment. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I leaving this thing that I've loved and God's used and blessing to get off the road? Like, what am I thinking? And so for a week, I was talking to God and like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And God just addressed the different concerns I had, and then confirmed. Like, it was incredible. Like I started to document all the things that God did during that week and a half time frame. And it was from all different sources about children's ministry. So whether it was camp or Base Camp Adventures or different opportunities, all these different things happened all at once, pointing towards there's things that, at least it encouraged me that there's things that God may want to do through children's ministry or has other opportunities. So that was very confirming. Like, okay, God. I started to laugh as things were happening. Okay. It's like, I got it, God. Like, you want me to come off? Okay, I will. So yes, God made it so clear through that, which was so gracious of him.
Yeah, then what was that transition like coming back to headquarters?
I've described it as both very normal and very weird, because very normal in this is the place that I've grown up. This is where my family is. So all those things are very normal. The church that I've been a part of when I am home in summers and winters. But at the same time, it is very weird because it's like I went away to to school for 17 years and then came back to be with my family again and the church and all those things.
Yeah.
So I'm a very different person
Sure.
than I was 17 years ago, but I'm still in this environment. And so it's been an adjustment, and working in an office instead of leaving every 2 weeks,
Right.
this location, and living in people's houses. And that's a funny thing, is that living in other people's houses and eating their food and all those things became the norm for me.
Yeah.
And so adjusting to not doing that.
Oh, yeah, that would be such a dramatic change. And so is your role similar or different? Like, what's your role back here now?
On the road, I had 2 hats, both team director with the road team and then children's ministry, like overseeing children's ministry. So now it's just overseeing children's ministry. And I'm able to, which is really fun, bringing some continuity to all the children's ministry we do as a ministry. So the retreats at the camp, to church events, to base camp adventures. So that's, I love, like with storytelling, I love having these characters in the world all fit together.
Yep.
So no matter where kids encounter Life Action's children's ministry, they're hearing about the same characters and stories, and
The children's ministry
that's
universe.
super fun.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You're navigating what it's like to be back home. And I've heard you talk about, like, one of the difficult parts of that is just finding a community again, because you were living in an intentional community with people 24/7. And now you have a different, you
Yeah.
have to figure that out.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about road life, is you have this built-in community. These are your people. These are the people's lives that you're going to get into. Here, you can actually choose who you're going to invest in, spend time with. And it also doesn't come naturally. Like, it takes intention, because you're it's not forced on you. So yes, getting involved in a small group and involved at church and serving because you're choosing to, not because it's this expectation on you because you've signed up for this whole year of traveling and that's just what you do. So yes, it's a good step in my walk with God of like learning a lot of these things voluntarily instead of being forced upon you.
And I assume, actually, back in the role that you're at now that you're at home, you actually, if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to be on 24/7. You almost have to be more intentional about pursuing Jesus and your faith too, because you're not swimming in it
Right.
all the time.
Yeah. And it took intention on the road too, because you can very easily just get into the robotics of ministry. And so you can miss God in all of that.
Yeah.
So that hasn't changed. Like, it still takes intention to let ministry be fueled by relationship with God instead of just doing the externals. But yes, you have to have discipline to to spend time with God, to serve, to get in community more so than on the road sometimes.
God has always kind of directed your path, and you've gone this way and that way, and maybe, but if you had to say at this point in time, given your role in the ministry and where the ministry is heading, like, what is your hope for your role within this ministry? Like, what is your hope for Life Action?
I mean, for me personally, just God keeps bringing me back to abiding in Him. And so it's not a mystery, but it's something that I will never stop exploring. What it means to know God and walk with Him and have a close relationship with Him. And so I guess my hope would be that as time goes on, there's just more yeses to God, not just externally, but internally, more surrender. And with ministry, I mean, I'm scared to even say like what I want ministry to be, because God's changed it so many times. But my hope would be that just more and more kids are impacted and like come to know Jesus in the way that I've come to know Jesus. And like my testimonies, I was like, God met me I really believe God saved me as a 4-year-old. Like the Spirit opened up my heart and mind to understand the gospel and believe. So that's what I want for these kids, is like, I want them to start young so that they can grow in their walk with God over decades and not have to go away from God for decades and then realize that He's real and loves them and wants to have a relationship with them. So that's for ministry. For Life Action as a whole, I guess faithfulness.
Yeah.
Faithfulness in all the small things.
Mhm.
Like we don't have to, when we were talking earlier about the, having a big machine of ministry and God doesn't value things because they're big. Like he used 12 disciples to change the world. So he can use very small things to build his kingdom. So my hope would be that the ministry is just faithful to be obedient and follow God and let him, as Dell would say, take care of the depth of our ministry, and God will take care of the breadth and like scope of the ministry.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your life story with me. And very interesting. It's a pretty cool story.
Thanks for missing lunch and interviewing.
Hey, you bet.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Changed Lives. If you were encouraged or inspired by what you heard, I want to invite you to take the next step. You can support the people whose story you just heard and others like them by visiting lifeaction.org/changedlives. Whether through prayer, giving, or sharing these stories, you can be part of what God is doing to revive relationships and transform lives.